Hi, huge thank you for choosing to grow and develop your business, because if you are watching this tutorial, you are very likely to be doing this very thing. Most entrepreneurs who come to me have one thing in common. They keep their customer avatar in the wrong place, being their heads. So today we're going to be getting clear on your customer persona or customer avatar. When we'll be writing this, keep in mind your favorite client. So if you are at the stage of your business, and most people who come to me are, when you have been serving quite a lot of clients, then you will have a very good idea about who you are going to serve. But if you are only starting, and if you haven't had that number of transformation you would like to have, think of your friend or think of a person you would like to work with and discuss and talk about them. If it's hard to imagine who you'd like to work with yet, but you still would like to get clear on what to talk about, needs, desires, content strategy, then imagine yourself and your transformation. Of course, it's better when we imagine people or when we think about real people, but you are a good start, because to deliver the transformation, you have to go through it yourself. So you are very likely to have features that are similar to your customers. All right, let's get cracking. Please download the worksheet below this video and let's get started. So the first block, who are they? We will talk about general trends and general common features about your audience. And you don't have to serve one audience. Sometimes people can have two or three customer avatars, especially if your circumstances, needs and desires of your clients vary. To speak in their language, sometimes you have to go granular and create several avatars. So to answer the question whether do I have to create one avatar or do I have to create several, the answer would be look at their needs, desires and circumstances. If these three match, you are likely to need only one avatar. If they are different, create several to go granular and speak deeply to every person for them to feel cared for and understood. All right, so I tend to give avatars names because that makes me feel more human about them. And quite often we do have a person in mind, so that's very helpful for me. I usually give them names. And then if we have several, it's easier to understand who we are referring to. Of course, in the content, we will not mention the name. Age. Please write the average age of your client. And if you have a huge age variety, then I invite you to explore whether you need multiple avatars, because that can be the case. So please write the age of your clients. Gender. Gender is an important determiner of how the person was raised, conditioned, educated, and essentially, even hormonally, men and women are quite different, and that's why we should create different avatars for different genders, because they would have different needs, quite different desires possibly. So if you serve both genders, please create two separate avatars. Family circumstances. Quite often people overlook this category, but it is actually very important because it will determine so many things. It will determine the amount of free time. It will determine the amount of pressure. It will determine how the person structures their life, how available they are, how they spend, and many, many other things. So family circumstances are quite important. And for example, if you serve women and some women in your audience have children and families and the other ones don't, I would argue they will have different needs. So again, you can look at whether people in your audience differ based on family circumstances, and you are very likely to see trends. So they are very likely many be mothers, or differently, many be students or any other things, but your clients are very likely to have similar family circumstances. Do they have dependents? And list details. This is a very important question. It is added to the family circumstances, but just in case, I added it because people who do have dependents have a very different pressure levels in life, and the pressure is quite different. And then whether they work or not, of course, also adds up. Still, a woman who is, for example, in her 40s and is a part of so-called sandwich generation, who is caring for the young children and is already caring for their elderly parents, will be quite different from a woman in her 20s who moved out from her parents and doing her uni or starting to work. That will be quite different people with different set of needs and desires. Geographical location. Your targeting in ads, for example, will need that. Of course, timings of your marketing campaigns will also depend on this. I must say, with the globalization and internet, geo is less and less important, yet we need to know which geo our clients come from to plan our free online events, perhaps in-person events, but online events play a big part because, say, if you're in the UK and your audience is in Australia, you will have to host the event in their time zone rather than yours. So if your clients tend to be from a specific geographical location, please mention it. If they are worldwide, I invite you to look at the analytics of your social media pages, of your Google Analytics, whichever analytics you have, and see which countries are the most represented there. Approximate monthly income. This thing also can vary because it's not always that the audience has the same income. It's good to know their income because it will determine their buying choices, how easily they spend, what they spend money on, and many other things. So I invite you to think about this and to try to learn this information because it actually tells you a lot about your client. Please fill in all of these things in the worksheet, and after you've done, you can move on to the next section.